What's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Local People podcast. We are here today with someone I'm very excited to talk to as an IU fan, as a basketball fan, everything else. We got with us Coach Sherron Wilkerson. How's it going?
Going fantastic. Got to drink a little bit of coffee
I
here.
caught you at the wrong time there, didn't I?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Sherron's done a lot of really great stuff. Currently, he is the coach of Jeffersonville High School basketball, who is right in the thick of a nice run for state here. I think they got a really good shot at it. So, but before we get into all that, this isn't a sports podcast. It's not a basketball podcast. It's a people podcast. So I want to hear what, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from, what got us to this point.
So originally from New Albany.
Oh, okay.
Moved to Jeffersonville my 6th or 8th year, and I've been a Red Devil ever since.
Yeah.
So it's where it all started for me.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate. It's come full circle. Won a state championship 1993.
Yeah.
Played at IU. Played professionally for 10 years. Then started coaching when I was about 25.
Okay.
And been coaching ever since. I'm now 50. So I've been about 25 years I've been coaching.
Yeah.
So funny to be in this position. It's kind of surreal.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you, 93, you're being humble. You won a state championship. It's actually the only state championship Jeff has ever won. So you got a chance here to be part of it as a player and a coach. How does that make you feel?
I would tell you this, Jordan. It's divine intervention, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, even as a player, when we had the opportunity to win it, there were several of us that were originally from New Albany that should have went to New Albany.
Yeah.
But due to unforeseen circumstances, we all were able to be together at Jeffersonville for that run. So had a little bit of a special touch to it, if you will. So we was very fortunate.
And I bet some of these guys are feeling the same way right now. I mean, you got a group of 3 guys right now that are going to go that are set to go D1, right?
Mm-hmm. We do. We got We got 8 seniors in this group. It's interesting because you typically don't have 8 seniors per se. Typically 4 or 5, maybe the most. But we're in a unique situation, and we have 3 that's going on to play college. Actually, our 4th just committed to go play at Hanover.
Oh, wow.
Sean Boyd.
Nice.
So we're very excited for him and his family. But right now we got 4 student athletes slated to continue to play after their high school careers are over.
Wow.
So we've, especially in this day and age with the way that the business has moved towards the portal and recruiting older, experienced college players, we're very fortunate to have the opportunity for kids right out of high school to go play at the next level.
That's a good point. So, and I know I heard recently that Singleton is the highest ranked recruit that Northwestern has ever gotten. Mm-hmm. Is there? I'm kind of curious there. Is it just a love for the coach, for the program, for what made him decide Northwestern?
I show during the recruiting process, Coach Collins and his staff absolutely knocked it out of the park from every regard.
They got a good program.
And I think that these guys, they were very fortunate from a perspective that I was able to share some inside experiences that could paint a very accurate picture for what Tre and his family were looking for.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge advantage, and specifically from an education standpoint.
Yeah.
There's been several guys that have played professional sports that have made hundreds of millions of dollars and have blown it. So we wanted to make sure that we made it a point of emphasis to our students and their families to make sure that even though you have this opportunity, you still have to educate yourself in order to understand how to navigate through it. Yeah. So you get an opportunity to play for a coach as Coach Collins with his history, his father's history, with the addition of the education that you will receive at Northwestern. Right. That education is global. Yeah. So I think that in itself puts Tre and his family in a position where they're able to attain some generational wealth, and I think that's what it's all about here in America.
Well, you can attest to that, son, can't you? You obviously have had a successful career. You played professionally after college, but it comes to an end at some point, right? Not everybody's going to go make millions and millions of dollars and be set for the rest of their life. You got to do something after that. So
but
that education is huge.
Jordan, I think that it's important that even if you have that opportunity, and we like to call it a head start, so you get a head start in life of being able to set your family up for generations to come. Yeah. So what kind of decisions are you going to make with that wealth? Yeah. So we've made it a point of emphasis to educate our students and their families to make sure that they understand what they're about to face.
That's huge. I think that's a huge piece of being a coach, especially at the high school level, because you see plenty of talented players come through that may have been coached well, but maybe not guided in the best way to make the most out of their lives.
I think it's a generational thing, Jordan. This generation, you hear the phrase, the bag. Right? Yeah. And I get it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think that you look at it more as an investment into your children, into your grandchildren, and into your great-grandchildren. Yeah. And if you can look at it like that, I think that leads you to making different decisions for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to come back to some of that stuff, but I want to talk through your life a little bit more as we go to. Like I said, it's a people podcast. So Absolutely. This is the part. I'm a big IU fan myself, and I know you played for Bob Knight for a couple of years there. You were there for 3 years, right? And I think redshirted one of those years. Yep, sure. What's it like playing for Bob Knight?
One of the best experiences of my life. Yeah. At the time going through it, it's the hardest thing that you have to go through at that point of your life. Right? But getting through it and then turning back around and kind of evaluating what you learned and the guidance that you received was priceless. Yeah, so very blessed to have had the opportunity.
That's awesome. Yeah, it seems like you consistently hear that. You hear a lot about Bob Knight being as tough as he is, and obviously you got the chair throw and everything good, but you consistently hear people come out of his program that look back and are thankful for that opportunity.
Well, I think that, Jordan, that we have a situation where sometimes I think that you have to be confrontational to get your message across. Right. And I think that Coach Knight did a very good job of knowing when to be confrontational and when not to be confrontational. Yeah. And he and sometimes, especially as a coach at that level, you got to make some challenges that most people probably wouldn't agree with. But I think from his perspective and from the perspective of understanding it, it's needed. It's imperative that you have that.
Yeah. How much would you say do you take in your current coaching position, or just in coaching in general, do you take from your time with him?
95% of it.
Really? Yeah. What would you say specifically? Just I guess kind of the things you're talking about there.
So the biggest reason that I went to go play for Coach Knight is because I knew he would prepare me for life. Yeah. Like so we live in a C generation. Right? So if I'm just an educator, obviously I have accessibility to students. But as a coach, you have accessibility to students and student athletes. Sure. And then I have an opportunity to spend additional time with them outside of the classroom or the classroom setting to be able to make challenges as a student athlete that I necessarily wouldn't be able to do in the classroom. Yeah. So I think that it gives you an extra added layer of preparation. And then obviously following the guidance and the wisdom of Coach Knight, I want my guys to be prepared for more than just basketball when they leave our program. Yeah. And we call them task completers, whether you want to be a lawyer, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be an influencer, whether you want to be whatever you want to be, sure. You have that skill set to understand how to push through it and get things done. So that's what we built our program on.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So we talk on this podcast to a lot of different people, different business owners and stuff. We talk about culture, and I think we talked to Danny Struck about it with the wrestling team, and he talked about the fact that they preach love and commitment and things like that. So what are some of the things that you push for the culture of your team beyond kind of what you just mentioned a little bit of it there?
So I think that this culture can be used in any setting, whether it's military setting, whether it's corporate America setting, whether it's high school athletics, whether it's college athletics, whether it's professional athletics. I think that it can be used in any setting. Yeah. And it's 2 words. Well, it's actually 1 word, but it's divided in 2 categories. And that word is love. Yeah. And it is love. Yeah. Right? But here's the difference. 95% of the people that you lead or guide definitely are willing to accept tender love. Because the tender love is getting patted on the back, right? Telling people how great you are, sure. What you have accomplished. It's telling you what your good attributes are. It's acknowledging the fact that you have accomplished or reached a certain level, right? And it applies to any profession across the board. But then here's the part that the other 5% can deal with that the other 95% has a difficult time with, and that's tough love. Yeah. And the tough love is I have to bring you in and I have to tell you things that you need to work on that might not necessarily make you feel good, right? But it's the only way I can get you to grow. Yeah. And the thing is, and we tell our kids, nobody, and And I would argue this: nobody has ever grown from tender love, and everybody has grown from tough love.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the message that we use. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's a great message, and it's funny. It's a very similar message to one of our other very successful coaches that we talked to, Danny Struck. Like I said, he was all about love, and he said, the question he asked was, he said he asked his players, "Are you committed to me?" And they say, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that means you love me. So let's show it. Let's show that in our culture and everything else." Well, that's awesome. So. Yeah, so college is done. You went and played professionally. I know you played in a lot of different places. What did you take? What did you take? What's some of the cool things we can hear, or things that you took from that part of your life?
So, no matter where you go,
mm-hmm.
no matter what the culture is, no matter what the belief is, no matter the religious practice, no matter the spiritual belief, no matter the approach to living life, everybody wants the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They want to take care of their family. They want to have the freedom to pursue what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to build a future for the people that's coming from behind them and their family.
Sure.
And that's the three things that I was in Sweden, I was in Russia, I was in Turkey, I was in Brazil, I was in Germany, I was in Italy. I was in all of these different countries, right? And it's amazing at how the perception of all those countries and cultures and people and beliefs are different,
mm-hmm.
but really they're not.
Yeah.
Because it's all built on that same foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if just people could understand that, I think that we would. I think that we would live by the number one rule more often, and that's the golden rule: treat others as you would want to be treated.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, if you can take away one thing from all that, that's a pretty good one to take away, right?
You just it dawned on me. I was in Turkey, and it dawned on me. It's obviously Turkey is 99% Muslim.
Mm.
Now, when I very first got to Turkey, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got to my apartment, and I remember I was unpacking my bags, getting myself ready. I wanted to lay down and take a nap before I had to get ready for practice, and the next thing I know, I hear, and it freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, what I didn't realize at the time, due to my ignorance, I was living right next to a mosque.
Mm.
And 5 times during the day, they're summons to pray. And that was one of the first times that I realized that ignorance is not bliss, and it could be extremely dangerous.
Yeah. And
that was a huge learning point for me.
Yeah, that's huge. So what point in your professional career, what can you say that happened that you made the decision that it's time to be done being a player, time to start moving on to that next part of life?
So I just attained dual citizenship. So I have dual citizenship. I'm American citizen, and I'm also an Israeli citizen.
Okay.
So I have dual citizenship, and I had just gotten the dual citizenship, and really felt that was the piece that was missing,
mm-hmm.
per se, to climb the ladder.
Gotcha.
And once I got to that point, my body was just done.
Sure.
My body couldn't. Yeah. I was taking 8 Advil just so I could get on the floor to be able to play. Yeah.
And how old were you at that point?
I was 31, 32.
Gotcha.
I think. So it started affecting my kidneys, my prostate. Mm-hmm. I started having all kind of health issues because of the anti-inflammatories was destroying my body. So it was time to Father Time had won, and it was time to move to the next stage of my life.
Makes you respect what LeBron's doing at 40. That's incredible.
There's definitely.
Yeah, of course he got a little bit of money to put in.
Well, I think Mr. James was smart, and he invested in his body and made sure that he is surrounding himself with the best professionals available. So he's done it the right way for sure.
So what did you do when you were done as a player? Did you jump straight into coaching, or what did you do between that time?
Immediately.
Okay.
So at that time, I hadn't finished my degree. So I had to immediately enroll in classes and finish my degree.
Gotcha.
Which ultimately, it's kind of funny. As I was winding down my playing years, I wasn't for sure what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I knew that I was going to have to become a professional and start to take care of my family and provide for my family in a different way. So I call them guardian angels. I think that we all have guardian angels, and I think that sometimes our guardian angels can be people that we don't even think about. Sometimes they could have a powerful message. Yeah. And I was working for a gentleman at the time, helping put on 3-on-3 tournaments. A gentleman by the name of Gary Darby. We call him Mr. Hoops. He runs a lot of the 3-on-3 tournaments here in the communities. He is responsible for putting on the Battle of the Bridges that's hosted every year. So he and I were talking just in a random conversation, and he said, I've been thinking about you. And I said, yeah. I said, what you been thinking? And he said, I think that you'll be a perfect coach. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, it's just something that, man, just been on my heart, man, and I just thought I needed to share it with you. Yeah. And that was the seed that got planted for me to start pursuing my coaching, and I would tell you it was probably some of the best advice that I've ever gotten. Yeah. Well, you're doing pretty good at it so far. I had some really good teachers. Yeah, really definitely. Teachers. So do you have a family, a wife and kids? I do. I have a wife, been married 24 years. Wow. I have a daughter who is 25, 2 nieces that I raised, and now currently raising a nephew. So I got I'm coaching, and you got a bunch of kids on the team too. I got 100 kids. It seems like. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that leads us back to. I did want to talk. We talked about you as a person. Did want to talk a little bit about. I was able to come out to the game last Saturday night. Mm-hmm. It was a great game. I was kind of curious. So what we came out a little bit flat, maybe, or maybe they just came out great in the first quarter, and had a lead after the first quarter. What was the change from the first to the second quarter there that made the difference? So first, I think that you have to give Coach Jones and his staff credit. They did a really good job of having them prepared to play us. They came out hot. So I think that is a testament to those guys. The other piece, I think that anytime that you have a rivalry, anytime that you have a championship, like you're going to get a clash of the Titans. Yeah. And I think that you typically are going to get both teams' best effort. Yeah. And I think because of the proximity, because of the emotional aptness to it, if you will, I think that it makes it 50% more powerful than it would just any other normal game. No question. So, and I thought that you saw the emotions there throughout the game. We was very fortunate to come out on top. It was fun to be at. I brought my son out, and it was like, if he's going to get a piece of high school basketball, Jeff New Albany's about as good as it gets right there. So, and it's one of the best rivalries in the state, and it's. I think it's a rivalry that will continue to burn forever. Yeah, because it's just so intense. Kind of goes back and forth. We have times where they've got a crazy amount of talent, or we've got a crazy amount of talent, or just good teams going, and it just goes back and forth a little bit. And it's not a one-sided rivalry. That's what makes it so. I think it speaks to the testament of the programs. I think that the high school level, it goes in cycles, obviously, and. New Albany's done a really good job of investing into their youth programs, and now we've now put ourselves in a position where we're doing the same. Yeah. So one thing I noticed was I was looking back at the stats of your 3 sectional games, and you had first 2 games, you had Singleton was around 10 points-ish, something like that, and you had your other 2 main guys there that really went off. And then come New Albany, he goes off for 28 points, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Was that just a game flow thing, or was that a strategy coming in? Did we know we were going to feed him going into this game? It was a point of emphasis. Yeah. In fact, it was a huge point of emphasis. Yeah. So I think that. So here's how I try to explain it to our guys so I could get them to understand, because they have so many different influences externally that sometimes it becomes difficult for us to get our message across internally. So let's say that you have a 4-game series, and typically you won't play a 4-game series against the same team unless you're a professional. Sure. Right? So I'll give you an example. So I told Mikey Cooper, I said, Mikey, if we play you 4 games, I'm going to guard you. The first game, I'm going to ice you. Gotcha. The second game, I'm going to blitz you. The third game, I'm going to drop coverage you. And then when we go into the fourth game, I will look at all three of those coverages and see which one worked the best. And then those are the ones that I would use in the heat of the moment in the fourth game.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. You as an offensive player, we're going to determine whether you're good or whether you're great by the decisions that you make according to each situation. Because in all of the situations that I just named, there is a counter move to each situation, and the great players know the correct counter.
Right. So
we go and play on Friday, and Mr. Tre Singleton has 8 field goal attempts with 8 points, with 6 assists.
Yeah.
But Mikey Cooper has 14 field goal attempts with 23 points and 3 assists. Who do we think New Albany's going to focus on Saturday night?
Yeah,
Mikey Cooper.
Yeah, exactly.
So we make the adjustment and we tell Mikey, hey, Mikey, we're going to use you as a decoy because we're going to put you here. Right. They're going to help. They're going to do this. And we give it to Tre and we score.
Yeah.
And Mikey had 7 points. Tre has 28. We win by 14.
That's a huge amount of maturity for Cooper too, right there, to be able to step in the biggest game, to be able to step down and let somebody else have the limelight that game. Although he had his big buzzer beater in that was pretty sweet. I've seen a couple replays of that since. That was an awesome play.
I think that any time, and I think if you look throughout the history of sports, the players and the teams that have been the most successful are the teams and organizations and programs with their best players being selfless.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, and that applies to corporate America, this supersedes sports, it applies to corporate America. If you can do that, then it trickles down to everybody within your organization, and now you have something special.
Right.
Because I think that you build a chain of trust, and once you build a chain of trust, then anything is possible.
Well, I'll be honest, that was the only game I've watched of them this year, and just from that one game, I could see a level of maturity in those kids that were, they just look cool, calm, cool, collected, they didn't look like they were letting the moment get to them at all, and, just took over the game, and obviously the score showed it at the end, so that was awesome. So next week, we got regionals. Who you got coming in?
So we got Evansville Harrison.
Okay.
It's interesting. Former teammate of mine is on the coaching staff.
Oh, okay.
Pat Graham.
Okay.
Jesus, got so much respect for he and his family. Wonderful teammate. Great coach.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to the challenge on Saturday.
That's awesome. What's the scouting report?
So they're really good. Super talented. Can shoot the basketball really well. Got some really tough post players. Really good defensively. We're going to have to execute our game plan to give ourselves a chance to win. Awesome. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, I hope to be there. Well, like I said, my son he had a blast that game last Saturday, so he's ready to go back out again for sure. So we're winding down here. I wanted to ask you. So what are the goals? Is the goal for this season state championship or bust? Is that kind of the mindset right now? I guess it's.
So it's kind of funny. I think our number one goal is to always try to get our guys a situation where they can get a free education at the next level.
Sure.
And we was able to do that. We was able to do that before their senior year even started.
Wow. Yeah.
So we was very fortunate.
Yeah.
And then obviously the second goal is to obviously win a state championship.
Sure.
But here's the thing. I think that you can control whether you give yourself an opportunity to win a state championship. Not for sure that you can fully control whether you win a state championship.
Yeah.
I think you got to be lucky. The year we won it, we was very lucky. There was 2 different times that we probably could have got beat, but we had the ball bounce our way and was able to get over the hump. So I think that throughout the next 4 games, we're definitely going to have some divine intervention.
Yeah.
Have to have some things go our way. And but the thing that I'm most proudest of is that we've controlled the controllables to give ourselves an opportunity to be in the conversation.
Yeah. Trust the process.
That's it.
So one more thing I wanted to come up here. Again, this is a local podcast. We have one of our goals of this is to give value to our viewers, to the local community, all those things. So I wanted to ask you, what do you if I'm I've got a 10-year-old. If I got a 10-year-old that's coming down the pipe and he wants to play on the team, what's the best ways to get them involved and to get to make a move towards being able to potentially play at this level?
So we have what we call our Big Brother program.
Okay.
And that is, and we start, so our season is November through March. And then April the 1st, we start our Big Brother program. And our Big Brother program involves our younger student athletes being incorporated with our current varsity players.
Nice.
And our current varsity players act as big brothers to our younger brothers as we go through the developmental process of teaching them fundamental skills. And we bridge that gap with not only our current players, but we bridge that gap with our current players and the parents that is coming through our system. And it gives them a peek into what their sons could potentially become if they choose to pursue basketball at Jeffersonville High School.
I love it. I think it's genius. You know, it gets people, it gets those kids more, you know, it's all about getting them to that level and feeling good about the sport and having fun with it. And I thought you can see those kids look up to those high schoolers. You know, you get a little older. I was laughing about seeing these student sections jumping around doing all that stuff. And I'm like, man, it's funny. It felt so much different when I was in that spot than when I'm older, but you look up to those kids, you know, when you're younger like that. So I'm sure that's huge for them.
So Jordan, you mentioned your son had a wonderful time at the game, and I want to end with this. So for your son, I'm sure that Tre Singleton is LeBron James.
Yeah.
Right? Your son don't care about Coach Wilkerson. No. He sees Tre Singleton out there, and that's what he aspires to be. So we're just in the background giving that assistance. So, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, I want to try to wrap it up here with, we do these videos for you guys, hopefully to give some good value out there. We do sell houses too, so that's how I try to make a little bit of money. But if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in the Jeffersonville or Louisville area, just let us know, and we'd be happy to help you. Coach, thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it. It was a great talk.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah.